Hey guys, Zorn here, or Chris Cruz for those of you who know me in person. And it's been nearly an entire year since I've made my last video about whole life updates. So I thought I'd just give you another life update about what's been going on. First off, my original plan to work for a branch of the military known as the Military Sealift Command, MSC, which is not a contract uh, company to where I would be working as an independent contractor. It is a federal government organization to where I would be working as a federal employee. Um, so that was my original goal, and I had started working on that goal a year ago. I had applied for my TWIC card, which I believe is like Transportation Workers International or Credential or something like that. That was one of the first things that I needed. I had already had my passport, U.S. citizenship, ID, whatever, Social Security, and all that, birth certificate. I didn't really need all that. Just needed. Anyway, the next thing I needed was a Merchant Mariner Credential, or MMC, along with a medical certificate. Both I needed to get from the Coast Guard that I needed to apply for. So that's what I needed. And unfortunately, the hiring for all of the entry level positions, which included ordinary seaman, um, wiper, which is actually ordinary seaman and deckhand are both a part of the deck department, and wiper is a part of the engine department, basically an entry level engineer. Those positions were no longer available as of this October 1st of last year, 2025. That's when the application, the process to submit my application was already uh, closed. It was no longer available. And it has yet to reopen. And I already have everything. So, yeah. And with that knowledge, I decided to do something to where it was advised to me by my best friend Tanner. It was just an idea, He told me that if I'm in such a rush, just get out and get out of the house and finally pursue something, then why not just join the Navy? Which nearly, well, yeah, about 14 years ago was my original plan. Original plan. It was to join either Air Force or the Navy. But I didn't pass the ASVAB. I got like a 14. And I was like, damn, I didn't know that was that dumb. And this was right after high school, so yeah, this is almost 14 years ago. I was 20 at the time. I just turned 20. Just graduated. And yeah, I didn't pass, so I figured I needed to either study or go to college. So I went to college, still didn't know what I exactly wanted to do. My dad wanted me to take over his company. I didn't want to do that, but anyway. All the way down the line, the road led me right back to where I was in the beginning. So I might as well do it before I get too old, because the age cap is 41, surprisingly. I thought it'd be a lot younger, like 25 or something, but it's 18 to 41, which works out good for me. 33, I can still apply, so that's pretty good. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And oh yes, as far as the ASVAB, I took it again. I took a practice one online. I scored a 50, which their scoring system is completely different. Like I don't need at least an 80 or 75 to make like a D or a C or whatever. It's not like 100 out of 100 or something like that. Those, if you make at least a 40, based on the department that you're going to be working for, then you pass. Specifically, I did not know that with my high school diploma and my uh, college degree, I can get a minimum of 32 and be able to pass. And I took the one that I took online was the practice of a practice, and then I went to the recruiting office, and then took the actual practice, and I made a 28, so I was just shy of 4 points. And that was supposed to be a harder one, so that means that I need to buckle down a little bit and just look through a video of like the basics of algebra and study that for a little bit, because I'm pretty sure that's where the majority of the point system actually really focuses on. And then it was like word association, like arithmetic, stuff like that, which I think I did pretty good on, but we'll see when I take the actual ASVAB. And after I do pass it, I'm gonna have to go to what's called MEPS, MEPS. I don't know what that is. Tanner explained it to me. It's like military education program system or something like that. And that's where they basically will ask me like, well, it's not from there. They'll ask me. It'll be after boot camp, but they'll let me know that when I'm supposed to be shipped out, probably to Norfolk, Virginia, same place I was gonna go to for training for MSC, but this one is actually gonna be for boot camp. So yeah, that's gonna be fun, and yeah, 4 years in the deck department, either on a battleship or aircraft carrier, whatever they have me as. That will end up translating or transferring me back to military sealift, but at a higher paying position. And not only that, but I'll be still receiving money from the Navy along with getting paid for working for MSC. So two checks coming in bi-weekly. It's pretty good. Because I really thought to myself, like, if I wanted to do those minimum 2 years as an entry level in an entry level position for the military sealift, after all of the the additional hours, like the overtime and everything, and just doing it for like 2 years straight, that's only close to or well over $200,000, and that might seem like a lot of money, but for what I have planned for the future of wanting to own land, have a house built, eventually get married, start a family, I'm going to need a consistent income over the course of the next 30 something years until I retire. So yeah, I'm gonna need that, and I need to secure that. So that's like priority number one, is to secure a financial future for myself. So yeah, financial security in order to have a future, the future that I want anyway, the life that I want. So yeah, I'm gonna be focusing on that, studying for that. And now, as far as a job is concerned, or a job has been concerned, I made the biggest mistake of working with DoorDash, being a delivery driver, because I really had no business doing that. I just didn't want to work for anybody after what happened with me and fucking Puma, my ex-employer, and that damn karaoke gig. I just, along with my ex and everything that went on with that, and just that whole fucking, like, life, I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with anybody. I wanted to be away and just drive around in my truck and not talk to anybody, not really do anything. And I did do that for the first like month and a half. I didn't go anywhere. I just every single day for 10 hours a day, driving around trying to make at least $100 a day. And it was very difficult because I was driving to downtown, and my first delivery I made like, it was a $38 payout to drive only 5 miles, and I was like, oh hell yeah. But I learned very quickly that offers like that are really fucking rare. And it's all dependent on where you're at, what time of the day, and specifically what day. I tried to find a system that worked for me. I tried to find a location that was good for me, but my truck is a gas guzzler, and I ended up reaching a point to where I was struggling to make a minimum of $50 to a maximum of $100 a day. And after 5 months, almost 5.5 months, I cleared only just over $6,000, which might seem like a lot of money, seeing as how I moved back in with my dad and he wasn't charging me rent. Good money to save up on, but when you take into account the fact that my truck was a gas guzzler, the fact that I was driving everywhere. I was spending more gas than the money that I was making. Well, it started getting to that point, and then I made a few unfortunate financial mistakes, specifically with airsoft and then alcohol. And I ended up just kind of blowing through my money. I slowly started to run out of my savings, and then until there was just nothing left. And that's when I realized I needed to find a real job. And as of July 9th, I've been working. I got myself a job thanks to my sister, honestly, who helped me fix up my resume. I've been working for Firestone Auto Care as an entry-level technician, maintenance technician specifically. And it's been doing pretty good. It's $542 to $548 a week. And I get paid. When I first started, I didn't get paid the first week. I got paid the second week. And I get paid each Friday for the previous week worked. So, yeah, it's pretty good. And at first, I fucking hated working for the manager. There was a store manager and a service manager. Like, those guys were just fucking dumbasses. They were the reason why that place wasn't making any money, and why the company didn't want to invest any money into that location, which was why a lot of the shit there was fucking broken. Until I finally blew the whistle on the manager, and I reported him to the area manager specifically for him getting pretty damn close to assaulting me. I don't know if this would be considered assault, slapping tires out of my hand and pulling them out of my hand, but anyway, that guy was a piece of shit, and I'm glad I didn't knock the fuck out of him. Otherwise, I'd be in prison and be fired. Well, I don't think I'd be in prison. I'd just be fired. I have a job. But anyway, got new management. Been doing a lot better now. Everything's been good. So yeah, it's a good job, and I'm pretty sure when the time comes and I explain my situation to the new store manager, he'll understand. He probably just might let me keep my job until that very last day, right before I have to fly out to boot camp. So hopefully, we'll see what happens. And as far as personal stuff goes, I learned a lot of very valuable lessons this year. One of the major ones was something that I should have taken to heart years ago, and this was advice that was told to me years ago, that I had no business whatsoever getting involved with any woman that frequents a bar, a venue, or any establishment that serves alcohol. Needless to say, my ex was a bar chick. Go figure. And yeah, the woman that I ended up getting involved with, not relationship wise, just kind of like a thing here and there. Most of them were bar chicks. And I discovered very aggressively that even the people, one specific person that I referred to as a close friend, was not a close friend. I found that after a year and a half of what I thought was a really solid friendship, they end up turning their back on me by just kind of using me for their own little means. But is what it is. I'm not going to go into too specific detail with it, but it's a lesson well learned and a mistake that should never be repeated. And I should have known, you can't put your trust into people that frequent the bar scene. Because I was also told, back when I worked as a karaoke DJ, that if the bar scene was going to be my scene, not to get too graphic, but I needed to learn how to separate emotion from sex. That's like as bluntly as somebody I used to know put it. And they said, if this bar scene is not going to be my scene, then get the fuck out of it. Simple as that. And I would have done myself a lot of good had I secured this job working for Firestone the moment I moved out my dad's house into my apartment last year in August. The moment I did that, I should have looked for another job. I should have done that. I was advised by one of my closest friends to do that. I just never got around to doing that because I was dealing with my ex at the time. And that whole big deal. I moved out way too soon. But anyway, yeah, you live and you learn. It's all in the past. Best to just focus on the future now. And that's just what I'm trying to do. You know, I've learned my lessons, I've moved forward. I still found myself fluctuating back to that environment, specifically with just one bar in particular. Because as creatures of habit, we figure that if there's a place that we go to, that we went to, where we believe we found a significant other, and every other place we've ever been to has never worked out, even though that significant other ended up not being the one, or it just ended up not working out, we naturally assume, well, then this is the place to find a significant other. A bar is not that place. And I was told, like I said, years ago by many people, it's not that place. And I had to find out the hard way, but I learned. And now I'm just doing my best to separate myself from that, to do better for myself, because I found myself really not liking the person that I ended up becoming, specifically when I started drinking. And I never got to the point where I was like shit-faced and passed out, but I did get to the point where I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. So I had to do something else. I tried getting back into training for arm wrestling and everything, but with what I'm pursuing now, that's gonna also have to be put on hold. But yeah, it might be something, for the future, for like future content, or we'll see what happens. But yeah, I feel like I found a very good purpose to lead me into a very promising, bright future. And I'm just gonna see what comes about it. I have to pass this ASVAB, seeing as how I need a very low score in order to just pass. I feel like I can do it because I'm pretty sure 14 years ago, close to 14 years ago, I needed like at least a 60 or like a 75 or something like that. So it was a lot harder back then. I'm pretty sure compared to now. Then again, they didn't know what I was going for. I didn't know what I was going for, so I didn't know what specific score I needed to actually go for a certain department that I wanted. Now, I guess over a decade later, it's more organized, more structured to like specific departments that people, or specific paths that people want to take as far as a career in the military is concerned. Because you don't actually have to be in active duty to be in the military. I was going to be working as a federal employee for the military Sealift Command, that's where you go to make money, pretty much. But you're basically going to have to break your back. And not really. I mean, yeah, yes and no. But Navy, you're not going to make shit. Like, the amount of money that I was going to make with MSC for that entry-level position, any entry-level position within those 2 years, takes 4 years with the Navy. But within those 4 years, I think I can transfer over. I got to see what the whole situation is about. I got to see exactly how it's broken down, what I can do, because I overheard a recruiting officer talking to somebody else saying that after boot camp, he said it to them, he's like, after boot camp, when you sign on to this career path, they will, after 6 months, they'll approach you with what you want to do next after that. So maybe the minimum term is 4 months, but the contract is 4 years. No, maybe the minimum term is 6 months, but the contract is 4 years. So I'm assuming within those years, I can also be working for military Sealift MRC, but I'll have to see. I don't know exactly. This is a lot of, shit that I need, a lot of questions that I need to have answered when I pass the ASVAB and I go to MEPS and I talk to the right people. Yeah. And I'm going to have to shave my hair, shave my beard, my hair that I've been growing for about 1.5 years now. Gonna have to get rid of it. Hair grows back, And honestly, after this year, I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can do it. I know I'm not gonna quit. They ain't breaking me. It ain't gonna happen. After everything that I've been through, the life that I've lived, the things that I've gone through, the experiences that I've had, it's gonna take a lot more than a senior officer screaming at my face to be give me a break. Plus, I'm already at that age. Shit ain't gonna phase me. I ain't a punk ass kid anymore. I ain't no teenager anymore. Anyway, so yeah, that's the goal. We'll see what happens. I have some paperwork that I gotta fill out. I have to study for this ASVAB. I'm gonna try to take it, the actual one, by next week. We'll actually, because I had to request this day. I specifically requested this day off from work because I needed to attend this virtual career fair for MSC, where I asked the guy who was presenting the presentation, I asked him, are there any positions for entry level open? Do you know when they will be available? He said, no, they aren't. And he said that he speculated that they would be open as soon as late spring to early summer. I am not waiting that long. I have waited a year to get all of the necessary credentials, and oh my god. Anyway, going back to that, yeah, it took, like, once I ran out of money, I couldn't afford to. Once I ran out of money working for DoorDash, I couldn't afford to even pay for the application for my MMC and my medical certificate. And I went to the wrong doctor at first. I spent $200 for a DOT, Department of Transportation certification. So if I ever want to be a truck driver, hey, there you go. And I had to go to accredited laboratory through the military, or a laboratory that was credited through the military, which apparently you don't actually have to pay for. You just have to pay to get the results of, like, the drug tests, the drug screening, the physical and whatnot, which I ended up not doing. So it was completely free, but I didn't know that until after I made the mistake of spending $200. Yeah, you live and you learn, whatever. So I did all that and everything, and yeah, it was in September, so July, August, September. Yeah, September when I finally made the payment to. I was getting paid, but I had other bills and other shit, and I still, from July to September, I was still going to my doctor's appointments and doing all that and filling out all the information and all that. And I had applied like 4 times, and they denied me 4 times because I didn't fill out everything properly. So when I finally filled out everything properly, they accepted me. They gave me my shit. But honestly, it's not all for nothing. In the long run, it's not all for nothing. But for now, it's all for nothing. But I'm glad that I have this stuff because it's not going to expire in 4 years. It's going to take like 5 to like 10 years for these credentials to expire. And during that time, I could be working for the Navy or be in the Navy and having it transfer over to where I apply for a higher position, that being an able-bodied seaman, which pays over $100,000 a year. There's like able seaman M, able seaman W, and there's like an A, and B, and stuff like that. I think I gotta climb up the ladder. I don't know. I'll see about that when I get into it. But yeah, so in the long run, having all those credentials is a good thing. So I'll just keep those secured. And yeah, oh yeah, the transmission on my truck finally died out, and I had to get that fixed. My truck's gonna be ready tomorrow, but I'm not gonna have the money until Friday. So yeah, but getting that fixed. And I've decided that when I come back, I'm gonna get a new truck. Originally, I was going to keep my truck because since it's a classic, I only have to pay $5 for a state inspection. Now you don't need a state inspection, so there's no need for me to be having an old vehicle. Also, well, the main need to have an older vehicle is so that car insurance wouldn't bite me in the ass. But with my driving record, it stands to reason that if I get a newer vehicle, then insurance is going to be, for liability, at least $200. Over $200 with my driving record. But anyway, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But yeah, that's basically what's been going on. And like I said, I feel like I'm going into the right direction. I'm heading into the right path. I just hope everything goes smoothly. I hope I know I can pass this ASVAB. The mathematical part was probably the hardest part for me to do. If I can knock that out, that's like 50% of the freaking test. Well, that's one chapter. The actual ASVAB has 8 chapters. I don't know. Because the one that there's an ASVAB. The one that I need to take has like 50 questions, and I need to make a minimum score of 34. And there's another one that has over 200 fucking questions, and that's like a more detailed one for like people that are trying to pursue like IT and all that shit. Me, I just want to be a deckhand. I want to work on the ship as a boatswain mate. There's different like meanings for them. Basically, deckhand, working on the deck, doing whatever the fuck they tell you to do. Grab this, sweep this, clean that, paint that, do this, hold this, go send this to that guy, grab this, do this, that. You're basically, as Tanner put it, for lack of a better word, a bootlicker. So, yeah. You get told what to do, you do exactly what they tell you to do. Yeah. I could do that. That's what I do right now with my job, so, yeah. Shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, just wanted to let you know what was going on. I will make a follow-up video of the results after I take the ASVAB, and hopefully after I pass, and the results of the MEPS and everything, and exactly when I would be shipped out to boot camp. So, yeah. That's pretty much it, Hopefully everything turns out. I really do hope it does. Hopefully everything turns out all right, because this is really my last shot. So I'm just trying to make it count. And I will be focusing on doing what I gotta do. I have to get myself in shape for boot camp. I have to be able to run a mile, 5 miles in 16 minutes, something like that. I don't know. I don't think it's 5 miles, but something like that. I have to be able to do that and be able to do at least 50 push-ups. I do 100 push-ups a day, so I just gotta get my cardio back up, which I can do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate y'all. You don't have to like, comment, subscribe, whatever. I'm no longer pursuing a career as a YouTuber. That. Yeah. So yeah, I'll catch y'all later. I'll be doing a follow-up video. Just catch me then. Peace.